AFR Talk.
You're listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to this Monday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Great to have you in the conversation today. If you want to join us, 888-589-8840. Number to call, 888-589-8840. We're talking today about how coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous. Talking about the military demonizing the American Family Association by falsely accusing us of being a hate group. And then we had Jim Stanley, our director of operations, at the scene yesterday as the vets stormed the barricades in Washington, D.C., and was there for all the festivities. 888-589-8840 if you want to weigh in, 888-589-8840. You heard the spot on the break about our Share-a-thon phone volunteers. Great opportunity for you to serve the cause of American Family Radio Talk, American Family Radio. As we've just seen in the opening segment today, our military, our commander-in-chief is out to demonize this organization, is out to restrain this organization, to repress this organization. There's only one reason that they would do that, is because they fear the message of American Family Radio, that we have a message that they want to stop. They want to suppress this message. They want to restrain this message. So now is the time. If there was ever a time to make it clear there was a need for this organization and a need to keep this organization on the air, this is the time. So if you can come and help us as a phone volunteer, Tuesday to Thursday is going to be next week, October 22 to 24. You can pick your shift, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or more than one day, all 3 days if you like. You can pick the shift, how long you want to go, how often you want to go. Would love to have you in here to answer the phones, because we believe we're going to have a lot of people, especially based on these developments of the past week, who are going to say, look, I really want to do my part to make sure that American Family Association and AFR Talk stays on the air. This is proof that we need this voice. We need this message being sent out. So if you can, give us a call at 800-326-4543, 800-326-4543, extension 204. Deanna will take your call and help schedule you for your time. Great opportunity for us here. We love it as the staff of AFR Talk, an opportunity for us to meet a lot of the people that are faithful listeners and supporters of AFR Talk. So we'd love for you to be one of those people. 800-326-4543, extension 204. And Deanna will take care of you. You can also go to afr.net and sign up, afr.net. Well, let's grab a phone call. Let's go to Wendell in St. Petersburg, Florida. Wendell, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, if this is coming out of Army Public Affairs, let's get the phone number out there and blow their phones up the same way we did with the government over the health care bill. And let's get a shirt out there on the website that proclaims the fact that we're not a hate group. Give it to all our members for the cost of shipping. Pick a day, go out in the public, and let the whole world see how many people we are and how proud we are.
Well, that's not a bad idea, Wendell. That hadn't popped into my head, but that may not be a bad idea. And I know one thing, back to the action alert thing, I think there's almost without question we are going to do some sort of an action alert on this to raise awareness in our network about what's being done, this travesty that's being committed against the AFA. This is really slanderous and libelous and defamatory. It's completely untrue. And so we want to make sure that our network gets the word about what is taking place out there. And so some of your suggestions might be a way for us to do it. And we're trying to decide on what the appropriate action we're going to ask our people to make. And, what you suggested, Wendell, may very well be the thing that we do. One of the things we're running into, as you heard Todd Starnes say, the military, the Pentagon, won't call him back. I mean, he waited 2 hours, then he called him again, extended the deadline, still hasn't heard when he was on the air with us, just 30 minutes ago. As of that moment, he had not heard back from the military. So they've gone to ground. They're heading for the tall grass on this. So it's time for us now to go on the offensive and make sure that the American people are aware of what our own military is doing under this commander-in-chief with their taxpayer dollars, that this commander-in-chief is using taxpayer dollars from pro-family Americans to demonize a group that stands for the values that made this country great. All right, Wendell, listen, I appreciate the call and appreciate the suggestions. Thank you for that. Let's go to Gary in Centralia, Illinois. Gary, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Well, about the World War II vets.
Yes, sir.
I'm a Patriot Guard, and I'm calling all my fellow Patriot Guards to show up to Washington and help escort these former soldiers to their memorial.
Well, and it's interesting. I'll tell you something. The park police keep threatening to arrest these people, Gary, but they won't do it. I know they just
they'll have their hands full with the Patriot Guard.
Yeah, well, they sure will. And Mark Levin said, look, you lay a hand on one of these World War II vets, I'll get 500,000 people down there. We're hearing from the Patriot Guard, same thing. You lay a hand on one of these vets, you're going to have to deal with us and with our presence there. So the American people are rising up here. And Gary, I wonder if President Obama and his advisors, if they have any idea how much anger and outrage they have aroused in the American public, among the American people, by the shameful treatment of our World War II vets.
I don't think they care.
Well, you may be right about that. And, maybe that's going to be our task, is to give them a reason to care.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right. You bet, Gary. Thank you for the call very much. Let's go to Kathy, Kent, Michigan. Kathy, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Brian.
Yes.
I wanted to call because you were one of the very few media outlets that said anything in regards to what took place this weekend in Washington. I was pretty much at my wit's end this morning. I had gone to Washington with all the bikers. There was 1.2 million bikers that went to D.C. on 9/11 to protest another march that was taking place there. And there was very little talk in regards to that. And I can tell you that when I went there, I looked around at all of the fellow patriots from my country and realized that I wasn't alone. I live in a very small town in Michigan and felt alone listening to AFR and to the things that were going on around me. And when I got to Washington on 9/11, I looked around and I saw thousands of patriots who were there, who were angry, who were upset. But we protested by just simply riding around their city and letting our presence be known.
Mm-hmm.
And this weekend, the same thing took place. And I think that the media blackout that happens, because video cameras, traffic cameras have been down both times that these rallies have taken place. And I think that the administration thrives on dividing this country. And whether it's social, economic, racial, that's been their agenda, divide the people of this country. And when I stood there in D.C. that weekend, I looked around and I thought, I'm not alone. We are united in a purpose. And the media doesn't want to show that. They don't want to portray that the American people have a common cause. And so this morning when I was so frustrated, I was ready. AFR is the only news that I listen to. We don't have TV. I listen to my nightly news at 11 o'clock here. But I was even ready to shut you guys off because I thought, you're not giving us the information. There's people out here in this country who need to have a positive to know that what they're fighting for is worth fighting for. And there's so many bad things that are taking place that we need to be uplifted. And so I really looked at this rally in D.C. this weekend as another wow factor. And so I want to thank you for bringing them on and for bringing that to the public.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much, Kathy. I appreciate that. Reminds me, the story of Elijah. Thought he was in that battle all by himself. He said, I alone am left. And God says, no, I have 7,000 who have not bowed the knee to Baal. And that's what we're seeing yesterday. And again, Kathy's right. If you look at the mainstream media, they're not going to cover this story. If you don't listen to AFR Talk or a conservative media outlet, you're not even going to know that thing happened. You're not going to know about the barricades being stacked up in front of the White House, which I find absolutely delicious. We showed you the visual proof, the photograph that Jim Stanley, our own Jim Stanley, took. We had it on the screen here for those of you that are watching on TV or going through video streaming. We got a picture. It's up there again. Rob's got it up there of these barricades stacked up in front of the White House. Absolutely. Listen, now that is a news story. When you have World War II veterans taking these barricades that are designed to keep them out of their own war memorial, which is paid for entirely with private funds, and these veterans are carrying those barricades and they're dumping them in front of the White House, that's a news story. I don't care who you are, what you are, and yet there is an absolute blackout on the part of the mainstream media about that. Talking about the media, Megyn Kelly's premiered her new show on Fox News at night now, And she has completely handed Rachel Maddow's hat to her. And the success of the Megyn Kelly show, this rollout of the Megyn Kelly show, the success of that program is so great that the president of MSNBC wants an investigation. He thinks the numbers have been rigged. And it's just the fact that people are looking for some source of news that they can trust. Well, let's go to Kim, last call of the hour. Kim in Hickory, North Carolina. Kim, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, love your show, as always.
Thank you.
But now I want to ask you a question. In Egypt, did the military not rise up against this guy and help the people get rid of him?
Yeah, in Egypt you're talking about, against against Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood guy. Yeah, that was a military thing.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. With all these military people, they're all smart, the generals, all these other people, why in the world haven't they done something? You know they don't want to do this stuff they're being told to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're right, Kim. I think that among most of the military, they don't like what's going on. They don't like to see what's happening. We're having good men flushed out of the military because they're being told that their values are not wanted in the military. They express those values. They get in trouble. We've got this airman at Lackland Air Force Base, and he's not alone in this, but he's being court-martialed because he simply said, I believe that marriage is union of a man and a woman, and he's being court-martialed for that. And there are dozens at Lackland Air Force Base complaining of similar kind of treatment. And to the credit of the military, they believe in the chain of command. They believe in following orders. I think they're going to be extremely reluctant, and they should be extremely, extremely reluctant to do anything to turn against their commander-in-chief. I do not believe that that's the direction relief's going to come from. I don't even think relief should come from that direction. I think it comes from the American people rising up, making their voice heard, and then making sure in 2016 that we have a commander-in-chief who respects the military and has a reverence for Christianity. Focal Point AFA Talk, back after the news.